Get ready to edit a lot of shit.
Dude, I've been asking for more shit, dude. I was ready to give you a whole fucking camera and just be like, yo, just run it, dude. I don't care what you're doing. You're recording you and the dog.
It's just 2 hours of him taking a dump.
Dude, so be it, dude.
He needs more fiber.
I would turn it into a hype track, dude. I would have the lightning in the background and shit, dude. You would be moving like 1,000% faster. It'd be dope, dude.
Just speed it up by 1,000.
Dude, you can make anything dope and funny with the power of editing. And that's why I love editing so much.
That's true. That's very true. Some people are actually funnier with editing. Without it, they're just terrible people.
Yeah, dude. Perfect example right here.
Yeah, right.
So Michaelangelo, talk to me. Like growing up, like what was it about fighting games that, pretty much drawed you to them? Like tell me your first experience with fighting games and what was the thing that you really like appreciated about them, or it was like the only thing you had to do? Break it down for me.
Damn, that's you. Did you write that answer down or question? Because that's a good question.
Yeah, dude.
Take us before the neck tattoo.
I tattooed it on my back.
Jeez.
Dude, and I had it.
Oh man. Okay. So the question that you said was like what got me interested basically in fighting games first?
Yeah. Was it a forced introduction, or was it more of you just walking down the block and you saw a cabinet and you're like, I want to get good at that?
I think to be honest, it was my neighbors. You guys know Tony, the MADHouse security. So I was just a gamer. My mom bought me my first Super Nintendo 3 years old, and I just had a bunch of games. She just gave me a bunch of games. But obviously, I liked the adventure games because it's easy mode. I would try fighting games by myself, but the computers were just annoying because there's like what do they call it? A design in the game when they kind of already know what you're going to do. They have like inhuman reactions, right? Yeah. So I was kind of just like, this is impossible. But then Tony, he had there was some kids, I don't know if they were his cousins or what, but they came over with Street Fighter, with Mortal Kombat, and they were the first, I guess around the block, the experts. They knew the fatalities and stuff. And I'm 7 or 8. And I'm just like, oh, dang, okay. And yeah, they would just teach me. And I feel the first time I really loved Mortal Kombat, I had not Tony, this neighbor, but my other neighbor on the other side. They had the Sega, but the handheld version. Mm-hmm. And they had UMK3. And he was just doing easy combos, and he showed me with Cyrax.
How old were you at this point?
8. Something like that. Yeah, 8 years old. And then he was doing Cyrax combos, and I started doing it. And that's when I fell in love because I could do a combo. So I was like, oh, this is fighting games. And then that was my first human introduction of I could play someone else and they don't have inhuman reactions like the computer. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is actually cool. And getting hype with someone else besides yourself. And so that was, I guess, the neighborhood got me into fighting games because as a kid, I didn't go to arcades. It was just, I think I like Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. There was Marvel versus X-Men, I think, something like that. But yeah, to be honest, fighting games were not my forte when I was a kid. It wasn't I always was in love with fighting games. It was more my neighbors got me into it. And I was just oh, okay.
It felt cool, right? You were oh man, I got to hang out with the older people on the block. I got to play games with them. And then the moment you beat them, you were just now I'm their equal. You know, if not more.
And they would tell me impossible things. He's oh, I was Ken, he showed me he beat the computer in just 10 seconds. And I thought that was impossible at the time. And I was just man, this guy's a god. And yeah, he would show me stuff. And I was just that was my introduction as a kid. And I tried again to get into fighting games, but by myself. Mm-hmm. My sister didn't want to play me, obviously. So I'll try, but it was just I couldn't by myself. So then, yeah. So it was really and then later on as a teenager, I had another neighbor, but across, around the block. He was competitive, and I was around a teenager where I could really dissect something at this point. Yeah. And so I thought I was the shit. I thought I didn't know Justin Wong, nothing like that. So I thought at Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I'm the best. No one could beat me. And I would do these imaginary scenarios where I'm okay, if someone could beat me at Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they at least can't beat me at Street Fighter. So I'm good at one of these. I'm the best. But eventually we learn about Justin Wong, Daigo, they were actually gods. So I was a little cocky, and one day I knew a groundskeeper at San Jose High, and he had a flyer for San Jose State, and he said they're having a Marvel vs. Capcom tournament and like Street Fighter, everything, and he gave it to me, and I was like, okay. I was around.
Did he know you, or did he just walk?
Oh no, he knew. No. He was Tony's friend, but he also was the groundskeeper at San Jose State, and so I knew him since I was a kid, and he knew I'm a gamer. He would buy games like Resident Evil, but give me his console, and he would just sit there and want to watch me pass it. And this was like, we didn't believe in memory cards, so I had to beat Resident Evil on one go. Like, but that's over time because I had to, obviously, I'd get kind of far, like an hour play worth, and then lose. And he'd be like, I'll come back tomorrow, do it again. And then I'm almost like, speedrunners, how they just have to keep trial and error.
But you were speed running out of necessity. It wasn't
that we had to.
You were like, oh yeah, man, like I just love, trying to play this game as fast as possible.
Yeah,
like,
it's like I have to, because if I turn this off, we have to start all over. And I'm now like 5 hours in. So I'm just like, oh my God. Like, okay. But yeah, so that neighbor and groundskeeper at San Jose High, he showed me that flyer, and I was still like, no one's going to beat me at Marvel. I didn't know the competitive scene. And so I go there and obviously get demolished. They show me what I thought. But this was the cool thing. Stuff I did make up, they were doing, but at a higher level. Like they started doing infinites. Like they're neutral. I walked in there, and this is prime. San Jose State had the best, like they always took care of their cabinets. They had the best cabinets. They had Third Strike, Guilty Gear. They had like all the best, like CVS 2. And I was watching people, the CVS 2, I know, I'm somewhere different, because when I walked in, I thought these are all students at San Jose State. They're just doing this on the side. They're not really doing it. But when I walked in, right away, if you guys don't know the Sakura combo in Capcom versus SNK 2, it's A Groove Sakura. She does like, it almost looks like an infinite. It's a super damaging combo where she does Shoryuken, but just multiple times. Boom, 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 boom. And I seen this guy do that, and I was just watching. I'm like, oh my God. But I'm in the middle of everything in San Jose State, and I'm looking at CVS2, this guy doing this crazy combo over here. Third Strike, this guy parrying everything over there. And I'm just like, I think I bit off more than I could chew.
So wait, how old were you at this point then when you were at San Jose State?
15 years old.
So, okay. So what I'm curious about is, between 15 and 8, basically at that point in time, like in that area, fighting games wasn't really like your thing. It was
I loved it. Like I loved watching it. I loved, like, obviously Mortal Kombat, had to watch it in theaters, like Street Fighter, even though the movie was whatever, like I had to watch the cartoons, just everything about it. I loved the brand of it, instead of just like, now I love it needs to be the gameplay. Like it better play good. I don't care about how it looks or anything. It just has to play good. Back then it was like Cyrax is just cool looking. Cabal, he runs fast, right? So I still loved it. Bloody. It was always cool to, like, I would go to with my mom to the laundromat. So this is my first introduction to Mortal Kombat. I'm like, it came out in 92. I'm like 4 or 5 years old, and I'm in the laundromat, and for some reason they like rigged it weird, where it wasn't the Mortal Kombat 1 arcade cab like we know. They put, I think, the board inside of a cab that you just look down on. Like the controls are like this, and there's no like TV frontward. It's like down. It's like flat, Yeah. And you're just playing like that. And the first thing I see is Sub-Zero's freeze, and I'm just like, whoa, this is cool. Like ninjas and stuff, And I'm 5'4", something like that. And I don't have the life of like the fighting game players that say, I lived in the arcades, I did this. It was more like I went to the laundromat with my mom, and it was just me, and I would like sometimes see people play, but it wasn't that hype. The real hypeness and eye-opening moment where I was like, I'm not a gamer anymore, I'm a fighting game player, was San Jose State. When I walked in there, and after I walked in there and got my ass beat, I walked out and my eyes like I was enlightened. And I always tell people, you need that. You need that moment of, whether you want to be a bowler, rollerblader, whatever. Everyone always thinks they're the best. Anytime, like I play UFC, I play like all these games, I always hear this. I have a friend, he thinks he's the shit at this, but he only plays in his neighborhood, right? So he thinks I'm the man. And I go there, beat his ass, tell him about the FGC, tell him about this. And I was that person, but I'm always like, everyone needs the eye opener, which is someone kicking your ass and just you realize, oh, this is the level that I could be at if I want to. So that's San Jose State was that for me, was whoa, this isn't the neighborhood anymore. This is like, it felt like they came, and I was, I'm cocky thinking these are just students. These are even easier than my friends. But no, they were crazy. These guys were insane.
So even at 15, you didn't have that moment of like, oh man, like these guys are, they're older than me. They spend more time. Like there's no way I'm ever going to get to this level. Even then you had like that confidence in yourself that I can not only get to their level, I can surpass them.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because when I was at San Jose State, this is already like when Street Fighter 4 came out. So this is like after I'm like 16, 17. There were like a pair of guys, they were in their 30s. And they said like, oh, this guy's 16. Don't let him beat you. That he said that to his friend. You better not let this kid beat you. He's fit. There was still, because now professional gaming has reached a level of like, a 30-year-old's going to look at a kid, right? Like a 15-year-old and be like, I'm going to get my ass beat. Like we know that age doesn't matter. But even back then when I was at San Jose State playing, there was still the stigma of like girls aren't better than you. And if you're older, you'll always beat your youth. You'll always, you're 25, you better beat the 20-year-old. It was unheard of that you lose to a younger version. That's at least through me living, like that's what it was. And I remember that moment, those guys, I never felt that, but I knew people thought like that. And those two guys, they were friends, like frat guys, and he was like, don't let him beat you. And I'm already training with Julio, and we'll get to that story. But like, I was already training where I had a concept of cancels, of this and that. And these guys came like, oh, you're young. Like you're going to get my friend. I'm playing and I'm about to let my friend play because you're going to get off because I'm going to beat you. But I was, working them and they're like, what? Like you're younger than us. Yeah. It was still that thing of like, no, you're younger. You can't win. And it's like, no.
I know that was one of my big fears when one of the first tournaments that I entered in, there was this kid in there. And for some reason, me growing up skateboarding, I noticed like all the skateboarders kept getting younger and younger. And hey, the kid who was really young and like, oh, that's the new up and coming guy. That's, whoever. And so I saw this kid show up into me at the bracket and I was like, man, this must be some sort of prodigy. This kid must be absolutely disgusting at Mortal Kombat X. Yeah. And in the first round, I bopped this kid like super hard. Like it was almost a perfect. And I felt immediately bad because I was like, oh man, this is like not what I thought it was at all.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what it is. And so talking about Julio, back to when I was kind of like this cocky guy where I was like, beating my friends. So one day I'm like playing Mortal Kombat. I beat my friend like he gave me my Nick Tavares. Shout out to Nick Tavares. Him and I would have this thing where we were talking shit to each other about Mortal Kombat. And he's like, dude, this is when I knew I'm about to destroy this kid. Cause Nick was like, one day we have to have him on. We always talk about this. He's like, I could use Scorpion Spear, so I could beat you. I'm just like, oh, this is going to be great. And I was like, okay, 1st to 5. I go to his house, annihilate him like 200 to 70. But then eventually days go by to rack up that 270. It wasn't in one day. And he finally beats me eventually. But after that, I made this post on MySpace, I think it was. And I was basically saying, anyone, if you could find anyone that is good at fighting games, you tell me. And my girlfriend at the time, she's like, hey, she went to Evergreen. And then she was like, hey, I know this guy named Julio. And I was like, send him my way. And she's like, okay. So she got us to meet up at Eastridge. I took the bus.
How old were you at this point? Because you said this was before San Jose State, right?
So yeah. So this is like, well, no, actually it was after, like, so San Jose State, it was one day that I went for that tournament. Yeah. And then I didn't go after that. So it was years after I went back. But the San Jose State thing happened like 2004, 2005. I think I was like 16, something like that. And then the Julio thing happens like a year or two after that because Street Fighter 4 is announced and stuff.
Okay, cool.
So
at this point, you're older. You're in high school. You're a friend in high school, and then this was Evergreen High School, not Evergreen Community College.
No, Evergreen High School.
Okay, so he's in high school at this point.
Yeah, he's in high school, and I take the bus to Eastridge, and he's on his bike, and with pegs. And he's like, hop on. And I was like, okay. So I get on his pegs. Yeah, dude, Julio loves saying this story.
I feel like I hear so many stories about you where you're just like, hey, bro, hey, take a chance. And you're just like, sure.
Yeah.
Just whatever happens.
I didn't know him at all, but he plays fighting games. Okay. So I get on his pegs. He takes me to his house and he just, dude, like, and I ask him, like, do you know fighting games? Like, is there competition? And this man tells me everything that I know today. Evo, people like Yipes. He shows me YouTube videos. He's like, look at this. Watch the curly mustache video of Yipes, you know? Yeah. It's like one of his most famous videos. And I'm just watching. I'm like, what? And there's Evo? And he's like, it's like the Super Bowl of fighting games. Daigo, the parry, like, and I'm just like, what's going on? What's a parry? And he's like, let me show you. And like, he showed me Third Strike, and I played Third Strike before, but I touched it for like a minute. I rented it and I touched it for like a minute. And the only reason I turned it off. I didn't like the animation of Ken Shoryuken. The fire looked so lame where I was like, I'm done. And I was still so casual. I needed good visuals. And for some reason, if you guys look at that game, look at Ken's fire Shoryuken, it just looks weird. To me, it just looks weird, where I was like, that was the like turning point where I was like, nah, you know, later on finding out I have the most fun playing that game. But Julio showed me that game after. He's like, let me show you Third Strike. And I was like, I don't like the animation. And then he's like, no, check this out. And he showed me the parry system. And I'm like, wait, you could do something besides blocking, but you're taking more of a risk because you're pushing forward. And he showed me freaking Yoon's Genajin combo. It's a crazy combo. And I'm just like, oh, damn. And obviously at that point, I'm like, I bit off more than I could chew. But it wasn't San Jose State. It was this one guy. And he's like, showing me everything. He's like, let's play Street Fighter. I'm over there playing him Street Fighter for an hour. He's annihilating me. We're playing Third Strike, annihilating me. And I'm just like, wow. And he's like, you gonna be ready for Street Fighter 4? Are you excited? I'm like, yeah. So he basically just takes me under his wing and he tells me about LPN. He's like, there's a guy that we need to beat at San Jose State. So he gets me to go to San Jose State again and freaking Street Fighter 4. So no one's announced this, but Street Fighter 4 was going to come out in 2009. But in 2008, in September of 2008, because it's coming out 2009 February, but in 2008 in September, San Jose State gets Japanese arcades shipped to San Jose State, 4 of them. And my sister, I'm taking a shower one day. I keep talking about Street Fighter 4, this guy Julio. My sister's hearing all about this. She's like, okay. I'm taking a shower. I still remember like everything about this day because it changed my life. So she hits me up. She's like, I'm at San Jose State with my boyfriend. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you keep talking about Street Fighter 4. It's here. And I'm like, no, it comes out February 2008. I've never heard of imported games. Nothing. So I'm like, no, you don't see that. And she's like, come on. I know how to read. I'm looking at the cabinet. It says Street Fighter 4. And I'm like, no, it's just no, it's not. But I was like, I'm going to go there, obviously, to check out. So it's a win-win for me. If it's there, Street Fighter 4 is there. If it's not, it's like, she's crazy. Like something's wrong with her, you know?
You're like, I have proof. Right?
I have proof you're crazy.
You're crazy, or you can't read. One or the
Something,
other.
like something's up. So what is this? And I go there, and Street Fighter 4 is there. And I'm just like, what? Like everyone, there's lines. It's back to the arcade days. Lines. Ricky Ortiz is there. I didn't know I actually did know Ricky. At the time, I was like watching his CVS2 videos. So I'm there like, holy shit, is it Crack Fiend? I think it was Crack Fiend there. But yeah, F Champ. Like I'm just like, whoa, what? And I forgot who this was, but there was like people with like cameras like on the thing. And I'm like, this is a big deal. And this is even the first time I see cabinets, all the Street Fighter 4 cabinets, there's 4 of them, but there's only 1 stick on each. So I'm like, what? But then I'm seeing that like, this guy on cab A beat cab C guy. So now cab C guy plays cab B guy. And I'm like, I didn't know that all of them were connected in some way. So everything's hitting me. I'm like, Street Fighter 4. And now there's this new technology I'm seeing that like, there's a new challenger, but it's this guy is playing this guy, but now this guy's playing this guy. I'm like, they're all 4 playing each other. What the heck? This is crazy. Like 2v2. It was just wild. And the graphics, obviously, amazing. Street Fighter 4, you know, rest is history. But I'm there. I don't know footsies. I'm doing just Bison Psycho Crushers all day, right? Like charging it. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Boom, boom, just trying and getting annihilated. But then I'm seeing what made me fall in love with fighting games was I seen what footsies are, neutral. And I'm like, when I just got beat and I would stand back and I'm like, they're not doing like E-Honda headbutts full screen. They're just like, they're like going actually close to each other kind of. And this guy's like whiffing this normal and it makes this guy jump. And then this guy takes advantage. And that's where it all came. And that's when I was like, I'm not a gamer anymore. I'm a fighting game player. And yeah, at that point I was like hooked. Done.
You just started seeing the pattern just like in your head, right? Like all the cogs just started turning all in.
And another thing that made me really love it is learning the shortcut to something. Like someone told me pick Ken. I forgot, it might have been Julio or someone, but there was a move I was trying to do. I was trying to do a Shoryuken in a special, but I thought you had to do Shoryuken and then his special was down forward punch. So I was trying to do 3 times Shoryuken and then down forward, but they're like, no, since you did Shoryuken, you just have to do down forward once because the game reads it like you did it twice. And I'm like, what? I'm just getting hit with mind-blowing, and I'm growing. I'm hitting fighting game puberty at this point, where it's like, oh, like there's LPN telling me how to do shit. There's like this guy, they're telling me like, oh, you're at advantage here. And it was all in the arcade. It wasn't at home like I thought it would be. It was in San Jose State. And it was just, which every time I go to State now, I smile because I'm like, this is where I got my fighting game love, was San Jose State. And now I'm here coaching. Like I love saying that life comes full circle because it kind of does. Yeah. And that's where I got like, where I stopped everything. I stopped playing Halo. I stopped playing shooters. I was like, I love fighting games more than anything now. And it was in San Jose State. It was just, and I would go every day. Met friends there. Like people just like were so nice to me. Like Rex and my friend Alex and stuff. Like I met friends I still have today at San Jose State. And it hurt when I heard the arcade's gone. Yeah. They're done. They took it out. And I loved that arcade because it was like, they had the games. I always wondered who at San Jose State is in charge of the arcade because they knew what games to put here. They put Guilty Gear. They put Third Strike, Street Fighter 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like it wasn't no like, oh, we're going to put SVC Chaos that no one's going to play, but we're just going to put it here. It was the games that were in Evo. They had them there. And I'm just like, damn, like this is awesome. And yeah, that was my like, where for years I just didn't play anything else but that. And that was why, was because San Jose State and Julio was like kind of mentoring me, like, do this and this and this. And I was like, oh. Before,
fighting games, before Julio, before, the San Jose State tournament, what kind of games were you playing before? You said you had some shooters, you had some other like,
So I think competitively I liked Halo. But I wasn't, this is the weird thing. I liked Halo like a year after. At Roosevelt Park, there was a youth center. Yeah. And they had, the first time I seen System Link, they had 2 Xboxes and they would have 2 TVs. And there's like, 8 people at the youth center playing. Yeah. And there was this guy, he thought he was the shit. His name was Michael as well. And he thought he was the man. Like he would always come in and he'd bop everyone. So we started doing where like they forgot to turn off where you could change teams in Halo. So we would just, to annoy him, go to like another team, and he'd get so mad, and he thought he was like the man at that place. He would even like tell the youth center runners, like, get these guys out of here.
Was he like way older or something, or was
he was our age. We were all in high school and he was our age, and he just thought like, oh, like I'm dominating at Halo. But seeing that System Link got me to love Halo. Like I got an Xbox, I got Xbox Live, and that's the first time I played online.
This was the first Xbox.
No, Xbox 360.
Oh, okay. So this was
Halo 3.
This is Halo 3.
No, but it was Halo 2. Oh. That's when,
backwards compatibility.
Yeah, it was backwards compatible. This is my first online experience. I never owned a computer in my life. Xbox, I just did it. These guys are so computer savvy. I always tell them, dude,
I explain so much.
I'm like computer illiterate, like I just never owned one.
It's okay,
no neighbors had one. It was just like out of my league, just like, but I loved consoles. Like we're talking even never owned a computer, even Xbox, the first Xbox, PS2, Just never owned one. And then and I also didn't own like a cell phone. Obviously, this is still before cell phones were like super internet now and stuff. But so just internet and everything was just never a thing to me. And I was just like, so I was mostly system link with friends. You know, my friend had an Xbox, I had an Xbox. We'd link them up. So the first online experience for me is Halo 2 when I got my Xbox 360. And I bought the collector's edition of Halo 2. And I went to my uncle's house and I didn't even know what an Ethernet cable was. And he's like, let me hook the Ethernet cable for you. Because the Xbox 360 did a great job. They gave you all that in the box. You bought Xbox, the first Xbox didn't do that. They didn't shove online in your face. You know, the first Xbox. Like, so I seen Xbox Live on the first Xbox, but I didn't have the equipment. There was no Ethernet that came with it. There wasn't a free, you know, gold for a month. But then when I got the 360, all of it came there. And I'm looking, you know, I love to read the manual and I'm just like, well, I have all of this. So really, I just need a router now. And I went to my uncle's and he had the router. So I'm like, okay. And I, you know, put in that free month or whatever. And I tried it. And at that point I was like, whoa, that's the mind blowing clarification of like, wait a minute, I'm talking to someone online. Holy crap. And it's not my friend system linking. This is someone else. They could be from like, you know, New York. And I'm playing. And my uncle shout outs to my Uncle Phil. Like, I never had a father figure. It was my uncle. My uncle was the father figure. And he's the only genuine family that was genuinely interested in my gaming. All my other family obviously is like my mom and stuff. It's like, that's cool, but they don't know what I'm playing, right? But my uncle was like, what are you doing? He was like a coach, like he's like, okay, what are you playing? And it's, you know, this Halo thing, right? And he's there like, what can you do better? Like, he's there trying to like, cause I'm trying to go easy. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm the shit. But he's like, no, he's critiquing me. Like, you could do this and you could do this. And I'm just like, and then I remember my first match still online. So I'm playing Halo, we're winning, but like by 2 points. I'm still trying to go in, right? I'm trying to go in. I need more kills. And then there was a girl playing online and she's like staying back. And my uncle said, look at her. Why is she doing that? She has more points than you. You should see why she's doing that. And we realized she was playing time. There was like 10 seconds left. So I was like, oh, why would I have to go in? It's like online gave me these like clarifications of like, play smart, not hard. Like, why do I need to get 2 more points when we're up 2 points or kills, right? And I seen this girl just standing there and I'm like, why is she standing there? Like, go in there. And it's like, oh, we could win by time. There's more ways to win. And he's like showing me all this. My uncle was like, you know, you got to do it like this and this. And, you know, and now going into my uncle, it's going to be long about my uncle because my uncle was the first guy to show me, to take me to my first tournament, fighting game tournament. He was there like, you know, you think like he's my whole life. He was there where he's like, he would tease me in Mario Kart. Like we'd play Mario Kart and I was like that kid that's like, you know, I'm 6 years old beating my uncle and all his friends, but they would like press start right when I was about to finish and like, you know, reset the game and be like, well, you didn't win. And like, I would build this anger up and he would just show me patience in a way, like without me knowing. He was just like, kind of like, you know, I told this story recently and I never told this story to anyone. And then when I told it, I realized something. So my uncle, he was into rollerblading, roller hockey. And he told me, you know, he got me my first pair of rollerblades. But they're like, so I guess the bearings go by like numbers, right? 3, 4, 5. And the higher the number, the faster the speed, the better the bearing, right? The wheel's going to spin longer. So he was like, you know, I'm at like 4s. So it's like fast. And he sees that I'm good. He's like, dude, you picked this up fast. Let's get you to like 12s. And when he says that, I'm like thinking, cause he says it like, it's going to be like a roller coaster. And I was afraid of roller coasters. So I was just thinking, I don't want to do that. And he's like, no, why not? Come on. And he's trying to push me to do it. And I was like almost crying. I'm like, no, I'm sticking to 4s. And he was just like, so he doesn't say nothing. The next day I'm rollerblading and I'm having a good ass time. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I'm doing more tricks. I'm going faster. I'm keeping up with him. And when I take off the rollerblades, he's like, so how did you feel? And I was like, I don't know, but I feel like I got better. And he's like, I put those 12 bearings on you.
Exactly.
And I was like, thank you. Like, I held myself back, but he made me realize the potential I had, that I would love it. But I'm psyching myself out because he said it's like a roller coaster. So I'm thinking, I'm going to go so fast and kill myself. But I really didn't. I had so much fun. And then when I told like Cherie and my friend Sean that when we were going to Disneyland recently, and when I said it, it hit me in my head. And I was just like, damn, Phil was my father figure. Like without me knowing, because people would tell me, no, your dad has to be your blood dad. And this and that, And I was just like thinking like, oh, I guess that has to be, it's either blood or not. So I thought at a point, people are like saying you have to have a father figure, but I don't. But I did without realizing it. But I thought that's just my uncle, but there's not an uncle figure. But he really was, because, so after that story, the bearings and all that stuff, he showed me all that kind of stuff where he knew I took a genuine interest in video games. When other people eventually were like, you're going to grow out of this, my mom, grandma, whatever, they're like, eventually you have to just not do this and do something else. It's for kids, or it's for this, and just friends and stuff. They think they label gaming back in the day, it's a childish thing. Only kids will play, because I love the time I grew up, because I grew up in a time where like adults didn't play video games. It was a kid thing because adults didn't understand it. But I always wondered as a kid, me and like obviously the millions of kids out there that are now my age that love video games, will we not grow into it and still love it? Are we really going to be like, well, we're 18, fuck video games, like, yeah, it's just out of here. But yeah, anyways, about Phil. So I eventually took an interest in fighting games. He's seen all that stuff, and he knew Michael's taking it very seriously. Like the Julio thing, like I started just playing fighting games. So he was just like, let's take you to your first tournament. He's almost like you. He's very like business-like, he's like, okay, this is the way we're going to go about it. We're going to write this whole thing down about, we need to take it like this. Like, okay. So I was a kid thinking like, I can't ever take a plane to a video game tournament. And he's like, no, he owned his own business. He owned a landscaping business. It was my first job too. He showed me how to work. One day when I was like 8 years old, I heard, oh, like I want to work for money. And he's like, if you wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow, I'll give you a job. You'll work with me. And he was like, but I don't think you will. And like when Christmas time happens or something, you almost have an internal alarm clock where when you say, I need to wake up at this time, you just do, it just happens. So like, he's like, I'll pay you. So yeah, he even showed me like with a job, he's like, if you wake up at 4, and I remember the day I woke up, boom, I had no alarm. It was just, I woke up.
You were just like the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Just coming out
it's like time
bed.
To wake up. And I remember walking out here. It's still nighttime. I never woke up and it's nighttime still, but I woke up and I see him with one of his friends, getting the stuff ready, the leaf blower, all that stuff. And I walk out and I slam the door and they look at me and he's like, he actually woke up. And I was like, hell yeah. And it was like I was 9 years old and doing landscaping. And so he owned this landscaping business, and he was like, there's fireworks going off, almost 4th of July. So I told him, man, I really want to go compete in fighting games. And he's like, I'll take you. So we went to NorCal Regionals, first one. It was NorCal Regionals 2009. It was like 09. I think it was 09 or 2010. I think it was 09 though. And yeah, we went to my first one, and he's the one that took me, and he's there like telling me, look, this is our first goal. You got to get a sponsorship. You got to do this. You got to talk to the people like Alex Valle, right? He doesn't know anything. So the first people I see is Justin Wong and Mike Ross. And I see them like they're superstars. Like they're walking down the steps like Cinderella, right? And I'm looking, and like my uncle doesn't realize, but I've been watching YouTube videos for like a year prior already, like religiously. Mike Ross, Justin Wong, Ricky Ortiz, all of them. And I went to the Game Crazy opening for Street Fighter 4. And Ricky Ortiz was there, and I walked up to Ricky Ortiz, and I'm like, I love your like CVS2 play, like how you play. And he's just like, oh, thank you. And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm just like, wow. And like superstars to me were fighting game players. There was no like musicians that were superstars to me, no actors. The people that when I would see and it would give me that, they have this aura, you know, like Rick James, how they say he has an aura.
Yeah, exactly.
It was these fighting game players had an aura. And do we stop right? Oh, we keep going. So I was there with my uncle and I'm like, oh my God. So my uncle is he drives me to my first tournament and he's there like, we're gonna, I needed that. I needed one person to at least be like, push me and let's take this serious, He's there like, we're driving to NorCal Regionals and he's like, Michael, like, we got to do this. We're going to see how good you are at Street Fighter 4. And I'm like, whoa, like, when I'm at home, I'm like talking to him like, yeah, I'm good. But then he takes me to show me like, let's see if you're good. Let's see if you're how you say you are. But then I feel the dwarfing of like, whoa, I'm going. And he's serious about it. So he pushed me to go. I go see, Alex Vi. I tell Alex Vi, I'm like, hey, can I get games with you? Because my uncle, I was shy, but my uncle's like, this is your opportunity. So I was like, okay. So I go up to him, can I get games with you? Alex Vi didn't even have a watch, but he went like this and he's like, sorry, I'm busy. And I'm just like,
damn.
Oh. Dude, and he's like, he said he had to do something, but he actually went to a top player and played with them. Which this is setting up for something pretty cool too, a little later. So my uncle takes me to this tournament. Basically, I go 0-2. And I sign up as Dr. Dookie. That was my name.
I remember that.
That was my online name.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an old school name. Online, when I was playing the Halo 2 online and all those stuff, it was Dr. Dookie. Because I just thought...
Because of the smell, right?
Because I fart a lot. But no, it was because... It was because I was like, I want the stupidest name where people underestimate me, and then I kill them.
Yeah, dude.
That's
like Captain Daddy. That's fucking right, dude.
Help me.
So, and my Nick Tavares is funny because he really got to know the Dr. Dookie name. But then when I switched to Michaelangelo and I got that like notoriety, his one line that always cracks me up, he comes up to me and he's like, I love Dr. Dookie. Michelangelo's too mainstream. And I'm just like, oh my God.
So talk to me. Talk to me a little bit more about that Michaelangelo shift. And,
okay.
Was it something that like, oh, you know what? Like, I just need to change my image, or people started making fun of you? What drove you to change your name?
So I remember the exact moment. It was Evo 2010. It was crazy. So NorCal Regionals, I went 0-2. Yeah. Met Alex Vi, met Justin, wow, it's them. So go 0-2. Next tournament, we go to Evo, and my uncle drives us the whole way. He's like, we're taking a tour, and he's all about it. He's like, let's do it. So I'm just like, okay. So he's like there, what can you do different, this and that. And I'm like almost overwhelmed where it feels like a fighting game isn't fun. It's always fun, but now it's work. And I realized it should be that. It should be like, you should take it as serious to where you're not, because if I just played like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, just when I had fun, I would play like not even an hour a day, 2 hours a day. But when I was at Yomi, obviously like I put in 8 hours, 10 hours a day. The fun was gone after an hour. It was more just the work now. It's the knowledge checking and stuff. So we drove to Evo. We get there. I still remember, so I have my first match. And before that, I went 0-2 at NorCal Regionals, and my uncle's just like, damn, we still can't gauge how good you are. Maybe you went against really good players. We don't know. And I felt bad about myself. Like, tournaments are just impossible. Like, it's just the best of the best. So I go to Evo and I beat someone, and my uncle, like, he recorded it, and you could hear, I watched the recording back, and you could hear in his voice the trembling of like, he was happy for me. He was just like, good job, Michael. And like, he was more nervous than I was. And I was like, man, he's really like about this. Just as
that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
That's honestly,
that's crazy.
That's awesome. You had your own Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
So that's why when you said, yo, Uncle Phil, I immediately like, yo, Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. And knowing that, it made me work harder, because I'm like, I'm not just here to impress myself. I'm here to impress Uncle Phil. Like, what he believes in me, like, he sees something in me. So I know to not give up. So then I beat my first guy, and guess what? Right away, I'm called to the stream. And this stream, the stage, the main Evo stage, Street Fighter 4, second year it's out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, holy, I'm just like, whoa. And still signed up as Dr. Dookie.
Yeah, walk me through your emotions, like as you're like, you know, when they tell you, hey, your next match is on stream, you know, like, hey, you know, your name's gonna be announced. Like, walk me through what you're feeling. Like,
like I forgot what I'm even playing. Like, I'm just like looking up. I'm looking up, and you know, they have the giant projector. They have the stage. My uncle's there. He brings my aunt and his daughter too. So my family's there, and before they don't, like, when I beat that guy and they said your next match is going to be on stream, there's a line to get on the stream. There's like, you know, Mike Ross has to play first, Arturo Sanchez, but I'm playing Andy OCR, and if people knew early on, he got second at NorCal Regionals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, like, okay. And I sit down. So we're in the.
How long did you have to wait until, like, you know, there was a line?
It felt like forever because I knew I had to get up there. But I'd say like a good like 20 minutes, something like that. So I'm there sitting down, just contemplating, and my uncle is in front of me, but he's always looking back, giving me the biggest smile, and he's just like, because he wants me to be fully tested. He's there. He doesn't want me to lose to just no Joe Schmo. He's like, if we're going to lose and if you're going to play someone and you're going to be on stream, it's going to be the hardest guy. Like, I want you to just be black. Like, the eye opening I got at San Jose State, and I do think that was great. When I left San Jose State, even though I got my ass kicked, I was like, I feel like I learned so much and I just became so much better. He realized that just because I had that one eye opening moment, there's going to be more of those. And yeah, I just like, so I had a problem. This is a quick story, but I had a problem at school during first period. Every time in first period, Peter Burnett, it was middle school, I always got a stomach ache. I got diarrhea. It was just my thing. Like, and I knew it was a mental thing because first period, I would get a stomach ache, stomach cramps, because I knew the teacher wouldn't allow you to go to the bathroom. So it made me more nervous. So, but then once the bell rang after first period, it's gone. So I realized, like, damn, there's this like mental crazy thing. So when it came, that thing that used to happen in middle school with the stomach cramps, when they called me on stage, I was just like, oh, damn, it's happening. So kind of Dr. Dookie, the name, kind of like, it went with me kind of. And my uncle's just like, he was saying, go as Dr. Dookie, do it. And I was just like, at that point, I'm like, well, so there's thousands going to be watching me on stream. At this moment, there was a crossroad. Do I want to always, because I knew if I go as Dr. Dookie, I'm just going to live to it, like live up as it. And I'm sticking with it. So, and he was like, do it. And the guy comes up to me, you know, I get on the stage, the guy comes up to me with a sticky notepad, and he's just like, so what do you want to be called? And because, you know, and he's going to tell the stream to write my name. So I look at him and I look at my uncle, and he's there like, and I look up at the projector and I see our names and they're about to type it. And I'm just like, do I want to walk around now my whole FGC career and be called Dr. Dookie, or do I want to be Michaelangelo? And I was like, and I was already contemplating a little before that, but I was just like, and I looked at him and I was like, put me as Michaelangelo. And he's all, "Art, you got it." And he wrote it, boom. And that was basically it just felt better. Like, I'd rather be called that. I like the Michaelangelo name. A great artist was called Michaelangelo. A Ninja Turtle called Michaelangelo. He has a good sense of humor. I was like, Michaelangelo, the name always is associated. Like, you never heard of Michaelangelo that like is bad. Like it's always, and it's a rare name. I think there should be more Michelangelos out there. If I ever have a kid, Cherie and I already said our first kid, if it's a boy, Michelangelo, 100%. There's just so much history there. So yeah, he wrote it down. I play Andy OCR, get my ass kicked, feel what it is to feel like, you know, defeat. Not just defeat, but like defeat on a grand scale of like everyone's looking at you. People I looked up to, Alex Valle, Arturo Sanchez, are watching, and I'm like, oh, and you know, and I'm just like, damn, well, that's that. And that's all I could really remember about Street Fighter 4. And what I'm about to say is the MK9 life. And this is when I became who I am today, is the MK9 life.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
is your first experiences at Evo? Because granted, my first experience at Evo was 2019. You know, I mentioned I was going around like challenging people. Was it a very similar environment like that back in the day where you could just like people were comfortable with playing random people, just playing, whoever or whatever?
It felt more like just stations. It wasn't like you could just no, it wasn't like that. And there's no women. Like, it was nothing like that today. I look today and I'm like, damn, there's girls here. There's like different people. It was just guys. It was a sausage fest. Like, just guys were there, and that's it. You would see maybe one female in the whole thing, but she had a boyfriend. It was her. She was supporting her boyfriend, right? So it just still felt like this is no one knows about this. I always said it was what do they call it? Like a diamond in the rough or something, where it's like, I was like, damn, this is so small. Evo is still really a community. It felt like I went to San Jose State and they're just playing, and I knew the history. I watched like Dark Prince for $3,000 against Clockwork, right? And I knew all that stuff. But when I went, I still was like, oh, okay. But like, before we went into Evo, they had the giant doors and we were all waiting, and I never seen Evo. I'm just like, and when they open it, it's this magical feeling. Like, Disneyland didn't even do that for me. It's like, and all these famous people that I thought were famous, that had the Rick James aura, they were just walking around me like they're regular people. And like, obviously the workers didn't know them. They're not really known. But if you really respected their gameplay and watched them, you're like, whoa, like, shouldn't they have security around them? But it wasn't really that known. Even in 2010, took place in the Caesars Palace, like, wasn't too crazy, but it did get big, obviously. Like, but yeah, that was my first Evo. It wasn't even for Mortal Kombat. It was for Street Fighter. I just needed to test my ground, like, see where I'm at. And I was just getting my ass kicked, really. Like,
it's funny to hear your experience and like how much you knew about like people and lore versus my experience, where I knew a couple personalities, right? But I wasn't necessarily invested in them, and I was coming at it from a completely different mentality. So, dude, honestly, like, through this entire podcast, I'm really gonna look forward to hearing both you guys like telling like, oh yeah, growing up watching this guy, meeting him, and then doing all this, that, and the other. Because I never, like I said, I never had a moment like that where I was just like super starstruck. Like, I couldn't believe, like, like, it's. I think, but if I'm gonna keep it real, if I'm gonna be honest, you might have been the only person.
I remember you walking up to me at GameStop, and I knew. Like, I know the demeanor of someone that already knows me, to opposed to just trying to say what's up. Like, and you were kind of like, hey, like Michaelangelo.
Because Atlanta was the one who was like, yo, Michelangelo's here. And I scanned the room and I was like, which one of these assholes is this guy? And I saw the tall one. I was like, it's really the biggest dude here, the tallest guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking good. I was coming from the mentality of like, I've been looking for you. I even think I said that shit at some point.
No, you did. Yeah, I remember. I was like, oh, yeah, it's fun.
I think you made that same noise too.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, Evo was awesome. It was a dream. Like, going back to like how you didn't research. I don't think I said how, like, before even Evo 2010, NorCal Regionals 2009. I was watching like 07, like Ricky Ortiz, the Daigo Perry, and this is the crazy thing. No one told me about the Daigo Perry. One day I want to watch high level Third Strike. I want to watch high level Marvel vs. Capcom 2. YouTube's finally becoming a thing where, like, so I just see the match, the Evo moment number 37, but it doesn't say any of that. It's the full match. And I'm just watching it like a regular match with a friend. And I will never forget this moment. Like, we're watching it and no one warns us that this legendary moment's about to take place. And I'm watching it in my room and we're just like, oh man, this guy is just getting destroyed. And then after, the rest is history. He gets full parry. And when we watched that, my friend and I probably laughed for like 30 minutes. We're thinking like, we're the only ones that have seen this. Like, we were just like, this is the craziest thing we've ever seen in Street Fighter. Like, what the? And so it was I was like, you could do this kind of stuff. So it was just like that mind opening thing. And after that, like, since 07, I was just like researching like Ricky Ortiz and like, well, first I would research obviously the game, right? CVS2, but I would always put like high level or tournament play and watch it. And then you would see the name over and over. Ricky Ortiz always showing up, right? Combo Fiend. So you see these, and then obviously it links you to like money matches that legendary that are happening. So I'm probably like 4 years in of just seeing this stuff. So yeah, they become like these names where I'm just like, wow, these are gods. These are amazing guys. And you know, I watched Evo '09 with Justin and Daigo, and I was there the whole way, and just like seeing that, being there 2010, I'm like, wow, fanboying, this and that, going to L.I. Joe, because he was in a Mortal Kombat Legendary MK3 tournament match. And then so I go to him and I'm like, dude, and I show him my tattoo, Mortal Kombat, like I love it. And he was so nice. I'm thinking they're like Tom Cruise and stuff. They're gonna be like, I don't know, like they're gonna, you know, they're gonna be like, don't talk to me, you know. But no, he was like, yeah, and Mortal Kombat next year, it's gonna be here. But he meant MK3. There was no MK9 announcement yet. And he was like, yeah, it's gonna be here, and this and that, and like, so I'm just like, wow. I went up to Daigo, took a picture, you know, all this, and I was just like, had a great Evo experience. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that's the first time it was shown that you could play it, and I'm just like, wow. So yeah, I get my ass kicked. I'm thinking by this time, my uncle already drove me to NorCal Regionals. My uncle drove me to all the way to Evo. Like, he has to have given up by now on me. Like I went 0-2. I went like 1-2 at Evo. Like, come on, how much can you chase a dream? But nope, he's there like, no, we're going to this, and this. And then MK9's announced. I'm thinking MK9's dead because there's a guy at Game Crazy. When he handed me the last Mortal Kombat game, Midway's going under, you know, all that stuff. And he tells me, do you know this is going to be the last Mortal Kombat? So I believed him. I just believed him. I was like, wow. I thought Game Crazy, the employees had inside info. So I'm just like, dang, that sucks. But obviously,
just like, oh, well, I guess all right, we'll move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Oh, well. So, but no, obviously MK9 has this big announcement, and I'm just watching, like, I think it was E3 or something, and I'm just like jumping up on the bed because I had a friend there, and I had my MK tattoo, and he would be like telling me, you need to remove that tattoo because it's dead. MK's dead. And I'm just like, ugh. For years he was doing that to me.
Did you get angry at that shit?
No, I was just like, he's just getting mad because I'm kicking his ass at Mortal Kombat. So, but there was truth behind it. It wouldn't get me angry. It would get me kind of sad because I was like, damn, he's right. Like, you know, this sucks. Like, there's no more Mortal Kombat. And then obviously NetherRealm Studios, WB buys, you know, not Midway, but, you know, the Mortal Kombat, the licensing and all that. So there's hope. And then they announce it and he's there. And so he sees, and I'm, you know, obviously making him eat his words. I'm just like, look. And there's, you know, MK had a bad rep for being 3D until MK9. And then MK9 happens. And at this point, loving Street Fighter and being in the FGC already, when MK9, when that was announced, it transformed me where I was like I was working at Walmart at the time, and I worked 2 years there. I saved up like 10 grand, you know, I didn't just say, like, obviously I spent some money, but I saved 10 grand and I was looking at my bank account and I wasn't happy. Like, I was just looking, I'm like, I felt like 10 grand was the goal. And when I look at this, I don't feel good. Like, all I see is I wasted 2 years of my life at Walmart. Like, that's all I seen. And I was like, damn. But then MK9 was announced and I was just like, yes. So I quit my job. I'm like, peace. And that was it. I was like, I'm done with this. MK9, just the announcement alone, that trailer got me so hype where I was like, I would tell people, I already invested time into Street Fighter, Evo, learning neutral, this and that. And MK is going back to neutral now, like 2D. Like, it's like Street Fighter in a way. So I feel like I gained enough knowledge of fighting games to take it to Mortal Kombat. And I did the math in my head where I'm like, people are like, dude, Justin Wong's going to be good at it. And I'm like, but think about this. He's focused on Street Fighter. He's probably playing like 10 hours. So he could only give this much to MK. I'm stopping Street Fighter. I'm stopping all of that. I quit my job. I saved enough to sustain myself for a bit. I'm going to go fully in 13 hours a day, MK9, so I know no one can beat me. And so that's what I did. I went on that journey. Obviously, MK9 comes out. I go on this journey of like, stick to my word. I'm playing about 13 hours a day. Boom, boom, boom. So I start like, there's this guy, Tom Brady. Not Tom Brady, the football player.
MK Tom Brady.
MK Tom Brady.
The legendary.
I've been informed on his escapades. Yeah. But go on.
So
talk to me and talk to the audience like we don't know who this gentleman is at all.
So Tom Brady, his real name's Bill, but he was my first, like, I was like, is there Mortal Kombat professionals? Yeah. And I never heard of a podcast before. And the first podcast I hear, I don't know where I found it. It's on this like almost Reddit type before Reddit, like where it's just a link.
Dig or something like that.
It could have, I don't know, but I don't know how I found it in just going in, trying to find Mortal Kombat stuff. And it's him on a podcast talking, and Rio talking about like MKDC and like the cheap stuff. And I'm learning from, I'm like, whoa, they're saying some cheap stuff like that I didn't know. So I know these guys are good. I know they're good. And so that's the first, when I heard these are the first professionals, I got like super fanboy already, where I was just like, wow, like Mortal Kombat professionals. So I'd look up videos on YouTube. I seen Rio like playing, and I'm just like, wow, like he's an MK professional. Just knowing MK professional, it got to my heart. I was just like, man, like they're my people. And so I was just like, cool. So MK9 comes out, and I challenged Tom Brady, and he actually plays me online. And I still have this message that I'm about to say. So I play him online. It's on Test Your Might. So I play him online. He plays me. I beat him because I'm putting in like 13 hours a day. So I was like, I'm unknown, but I think these guys, I can never get to them. But I play him and I beat him. And then I tell Rio, hey, you want to play me? And there was a forum. It was like MK. It was not Test Your Might, but there was another forum. I know some people are going to know what it is, but there's basically a chat box at 24/7 on the main page, and you could just talk shit to, like, it's just everyone chats about Mortal Kombat and stuff. So I'm talking to Rio, and I tell Rio, hey, would you like to play? And he doesn't answer me. And I tell him, I beat Tom Brady. I thought that would like get him to play me. No, that little fucker. He basically tells Tom sends me a message. And mind you, Tom right now is like Justin Wong to me. I'm like, Tom's a god, like he's awesome, but I beat him, but I still want to be his friend. So I tell Rio I beat him. He tells Tom. Tom sends me a message I saved to this day. It's cute now, like we're friends and stuff. But he sends me basically like, Tom gets passionate. That's what you got to know about him. And there's videos out there. It's a nice word. He sends me, to put it lightly, a passionate message that was basically telling me he's going to take all my money. Like, you know, I won't have any money to eat when he takes it all for playing him and stuff. He wasn't trying, you know, this and that. He puts it in a funny Tom way where it's like laughable, but I take it to heart because I'm like, no, this guy I'm looking up to is saying this about me. And I tell him I didn't mean it like that. And I knew I was staying with him. I already told him, I told all these top MK players, I have a hotel, and like whoever wants to be in it just to get games. And Tom was one of them. He's all, I'll be in it. So I'm thinking, damn it, now I already got in bad with him, but he's staying with me.
So wait, wait. Okay, so this was MK9 era. How old were you at this point when all this shit was going down?
22 so it came out when I was 22, but 2 months later I turned 23.
And how old was like Tom and everybody
so
else?
Tom's like 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So he's, you know, I'm 22, so he's 32, something like that.
So he's over here beefing with
a
full grown man. I mean, you were a man at that point as well,
20,
but also I'm like, yo, you're like,
Tom gets passionate.
It's a different era back then.
Yeah, and
well, Rio as well. Was Rio like, was he a kid or was he like,
Rio's younger than me, so like a couple of years. So, and this was the thing. So this is when I knew the power of just any type of video online, and anyone that could see it changed their life. Because so after the whole Tom thing, like before the Tom thing that happened where he talked shit to me, but after when I seen that heard that podcast with him, there was a video that was posted, like 5 videos, and it was, so MK9, it's hype, right? But it's not out yet. And this interviewer, I forgot who it was, but an interviewer interviewed these like 5 guys, Tom Brady, Rio, THTB, Dancock, like, and they interviewed them. And the moment I see their face, because I never put a face to Rio or Tom, it was when they stream, it's just the gameplay, right? Because it's not, the technology's not there. So it's just, I'm just seeing that, and I'm like getting hyper fanboyed just because their gameplay and seeing their name, Rio, Tom Brady. But this is when I seen those videos, and it's their face, and it's basically an interview. What do you think about MK9? And when I seen I fell in love with all 5 of them. I was like, I seen their face, and I'm like, that's Tom Brady's face. That's THTV's face. Like, and it just like right away, I fell in love with these guys. I was like, I have to know all of them. I have to be their friend. Like, these guys are awesome. Like right away, like they turned into superstars just off of a video, and it's a cheap video. This guy's recording off of like his phone, and they're just like, oh yeah, it's great. But to me, I'm like looking at THTB, and I'm just like, this guy is like a pro, and you know, and so I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. So I invite all of them to my room, and I'm thinking they're superstars. No, but the tournament scene for Mortal Kombat started with MK9. There was never tournaments for, you know, and you think MK's old. There had to have been tournaments, but not really. MK3 had like a little tournament following, like super little, but not big. We never had Evo officially making it a game or ECT. It was always, oh, these guys with the computer monitor like are playing MK3. And that was tournament to me. I was like, wow. But MK9 was the first, like, it's official at Evo. It's official at ECT. So the first tournament I go to, and I meet Mike Ross at the airport. So I meet Mike Ross, and I'm like, oh my God, Mike Ross. And he's just like, yeah, MK9. And I'm like, I told him this. I said, I'm going to win. I'm going to win at MK9. I'm dedicated. And he's like, really? Well, but you know, he's just like, cool, man. Like, I hear that a lot from everyone. And I'm just like, yeah. And so we take the plane. And when we get off, he tells me, did you see Nick Lachey? Because I guess Nick Lachey was on our flight, you know, and he was big at the time. And but yeah, so I go to Cincinnati, Ohio, first tournament. And I fanboy hard because those 5 guys I talked about, Dan Cock, Tom Brady, Rio, they all go to my room. And to me, it's like, you know, Denzel Washington, Tom Cruise, like, you know, fucking just big names that I care about so much. And I'm like, wow, they're actually here, like in my room. Holy crap. And so I'm playing and I'm pretty decent. And then out of nowhere, Tom Brady invites this guy and he's like, this guy is going to be a champion. That's what Tom Brady says. And it's Perfect Legend. And Perfect Legend comes into with the hoodie on, comes into my room, destroys everyone and leaves. And I'm just like, whoa, like I've seen the next level, right? And then Tom Brady teaches me about frame data. Like, look, do this with Ermac, this and this. And at the time I didn't realize, but I'm all playing with the best of the best. Like the best of the best, but I'm playing like, oh, like they're a little above me, but I'm getting it fast and I'm not too far behind. And I'm just playing with like THCB and all them. We go to the tournament, and I'm just like, wow, like this is the first Mortal Kombat tournament. It's called Power Up, and it's the first one ever. So this is history right here. And yeah, I go there, and basically, long story short, I got 16th place. Arturo Sanchez got me. And I was like, damn. I was like, oh my gosh. Like all my friends call me that are like supporting me. Like at this point, it's my uncle and my friends. Like there's a support, you know, there's streaming and they're watching me. I did bad in the tournament, but they had a team tournament. They had and CEO Jabali, he was on our team. It was a 5v5, but it was like a 5v5v5v5. There was multiple teams of 5. And I lost in the tournament, but then when I play in this team tournament, they put me first, and I'm bopping all the teams and never getting off. It's like they send me like even like Tom Brady's team, right? Rio, THTB, the guys I fanboyed over, just playing with them in that hotel. We did this team tournament, and maybe they didn't take it as like serious as, you know, the actual tournament. But yeah, like I played them and I just went on a roll, and my friends are calling me from home and my uncle, and they're like, you're doing it. And I'm just like, oh my, like this is crazy. Like I just wanted to beat one person. I've never beat someone on stream, and I was doing it to multiple people, the whole team, boom, boom, boom. And CEO Jabali, he's there like, you're doing it. And at that tournament, he was like talking about a future tournament. CEO, as we know it now, CEO. Yeah. But he was saying like taking notes. Like he went to Power Up to talk to the main guy, and he's like, so how do you run this thing? Like, how do you do this? And I'm talking to him like, since he was on my team, he like, we would go back to the hotel and he's just like, dude, good shit, dude. Like, you're good. And I'm like, thank you. And I thought we would never hear of this guy again. Like, because he didn't really play. He played pretty good though. I knew he was a fighting game player, but he was an older dude at the time already. And I'm like, I wonder how many more tournaments he's going to be going to. Lo and behold, it's CEO Jabali, you know, like, and I'm just like, wow, just seeing all this stuff and everything. So the moment I became, quote unquote, in the FGC, like a little bit of fame, there was a tournament called PDP. It was in Las Vegas.
What year was this?
2011.
2011.
Ed Boon was there. First time I seen Ed Boon. I used to watch Deadly Alliance, the history of Mortal Kombat. I would watch that over and over, and I'm just like, wow, that's the creator of Mortal Kombat. So it's just like a childhood memory I always had. And seeing him, the Rick James aura, it was this like powerful like shield around him where I was like, whoa, it's him. And I'm at and my uncle goes with me, right? My uncle goes with me. We're there and he's just like, you're going to do it, Michael. Like, I believe in you. And the runner of the tournament, he kind of had this before tournament party at Coin Op. It was like a thing in Vegas. It was a bar. First bar arcade I heard of. And then, so he was there. His name's One-Handed Terror. That's what he went by. He had one hand. And he had his whole like.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's
whoa.
I honestly thought it was a masturbating joke.
Yeah, I thought it was like, oh, he plays with a stick.
No,
or
dude.
a pad. He jerks off too much.
This guy had one. He just had one hand cut. His left arm hand. So he just had the wrist, right? But he'd still play with the stick, an arcade stick.
Crazy.
But he was playing like Alex Vai, like Justin Wong. He was playing them at Mortal Kombat. They went, I guess. And then when I went, I was just like, boom, boom, playing him. And he's looking at me and he's just like, dude. And he told me he's the runner of the tournament. And I'm like, what? And I was like, how do you think I'm doing against you? And I could tell he knew how to play. And he's like, dude, you're going to be up there. And I'm like, really? Damn. You're not just saying that, are you? And he's just like, no, dude. I played Alex. He was naming off names, all these names. And I knew them, obviously. And he's like, no, you're good. And I'm like, wow. And my uncle's smiling. He's like, oh, shit. And, dude, like, I feel like I made my uncle suffer through, like, tournaments of just 0-2. He's using his gas money. He's paying for my plane ticket. Like, he's just doing stuff. And I'm going 0-2 over here in Street Fighter. And then, Power Up, I got 16th. He knows MK, something's different. It's not Street Fighter anymore. It's like something, Michael has something here. So I eventually go to PDP, and PDP was a great tournament because they promoted it as $10,000 tournament. But what they didn't say is first place got 10,000. You know how sometimes tournaments, they promote it as a $10,000 tournament, but obviously split the 10,000 between top 8. But no, these fools, 10,000 for first place, $8,000 for second place. Like, it was like, I got 7th at that tournament. I got $500. And this is the thing. I love the movie Happy Gilmore. And I would always see the big checks he got. Those big checks. He's like,
I've seen that big check.
Yo, I was doing research on those this week. You might see them again at MADHouse.
Oh my goodness. So
just $10.
So my uncle, DVDs like were, 1998, we'd always watch that movie, Happy Gilmore. And Happy Gilmore always wanted that big check. He's like, hey, I want one of those things. How do you get that? And I was just like, I want a big check. That would be cool to have, like, win. And when I got 7th, lo and behold, I was presented a big check, which I still have in my closet. And I was just like, that Happy Gilmore goal, that feeling. And my uncle there, we're fans of Happy Gilmore. We wanted that. So I get 7th, commentate a little bit. There was people that were favorites to beat me, but I would beat them. And this is the crazy thing too. PDP, they sponsored it where you could only play with the PDP stick, that crazy ass big stick that they had. They said, you cannot play with a controller. You're only playing with this to promote our stick.
So wait, at this point, were you comfortable on stick?
Oh, I bought. So this is a side thing. I never say it, but I should. I am the undefeated Mortal Kombat champion of GameStop, winning Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 11. Never been defeated at GameStop on Story Road for any Mortal Kombat. So when I won Mortal Kombat 9, that was a little side thing. But when I won Mortal Kombat 9, they gave me the thing. They gave me the stick. And the weird thing he said? So there was the 3 versions of Mortal Kombat 9. You could obviously get the game, which is $60. You could get the collector's edition, which is like $100. So it comes with like the bookshelf thing. Or you can get the $250, comes with game, comes with stick, comes with like little trinkets, whatever. So when I win, the guy tells me, which one would you like? I'm like, obviously, like, give me just the biggest price one, So he gives it to me and I'm just like, so luckily I did win that because I had the PDP stick. So I'm there. Obviously, when I took what I learned from Street Fighter, like a tournament only with the PDP stick, why am I going to play with a freaking controller? I have the stick. So I'm playing with the stick. Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, I practiced. I get top 8. I did some great things. And that's when I get notoriety because a local arcade, they called it Starbase Arcade. It was in like Redwood City or something, like past San Francisco.
Oh, there goes the light.
It just got a little darker. But yeah, that's weird that it did. So anyways,
What's that sound?
do you hear something?